Hello, I hope you're having a great day. So today I have on the list to start a succession of amaranth and status. And I was going to do that, but I must have taken my amaranth seeds to the farm. So I will do that maybe tonight. And right now I think I'm going to check out my tulips. It got really cold last night for an extended period of time. It's still 30 degrees out, but it's supposed to be 60, which is super exciting. And I think what I'm gonna do is go ahead and go to the farm and work on some tulip bouquets, even though it's getting nice out and I could be doing other things, because I really need to start getting my tulips out there to the public. So there's definitely frost on some of these. It might have gotten hurt in a little bit. You can see all the frost on the leaves this morning. Wow, look at that tall tulip. I'm gonna climb in there and see. Pulling up to the farm, it looks like my little low tunnels are still out there. It looks like they're up. They made it through the night. So this is the current status of my car. And I've got one next to me. So I'm gonna harden these off, and the ones inside, it's supposed to be up to 60 today, so that's exciting. I'm gonna start bringing some out a little bit at a time. I don't see any more freezing temperatures for the next 7 or 8 days. So I'm just gonna bring more and more plants out to get them hardened off during the day. And if it does dip down, I can just take them right inside this farmhouse. So that's the plan. Each time I come to the farm, I'm just gonna bring another group of plants. And my little low tunnels are out there. They look good. It was really cold last night. My tulips, the ones that are at my house, I went out there and I thought, I'm not going to pick these. I'm going to see if they kind of rebound on their own naturally and see where it goes, because a lot of the bulbs look like that frozen, like clearish color, but I know tulips are resilient, so I'm not going to pick them. I'm going to go, I did pick a couple just to see for my own information, but anyway, I'm going to unload my car, and then I'm going to go out there and look at my plants. And then I'm going to get my tulips inside, and then I'm going to give you an update on the 4 different ways that I stored them. Except for the 4th one, I did bring the tulip out one day after, so we'll have to keep that in mind in the testing. Everything is looking really good. Take you down there. So here are my lisianthus. They look really happy. They're liking that sunlight. I think they like that they got protected. So they look really good. That's exciting. So as soon as like all the danger of bad weather and stuff is past, I will probably take off this frost cloth and replace it with netting so that they have a nice little grid to grow up into. I'm hoping this year I don't trip in the netting. I think that the hoops will help because they're kind of a barrier. Like when everything was growing and everything was tall, I wouldn't see the netting and I would get like kind of tripped up in it. But with the hoops and being able to raise and lower it, I think it's going to be like a lot easier to use the netting. So I think I might try it again. Give it one more year. Okay, let's go check out the snapdragons. Oh yeah, on our way I was going to see about the seeds. So in here we planted some bells of Ireland, and I'm still seeing seeds, and I'm actually seeing some green in these. I don't know that they're the actual bells of Ireland or possibly weeds. It's hard to know. We'll know after they get bigger if they're weeds or not, but we will see. Then over here we had baby's breath. No, bachelor button, sorry. And I am seeing growth of something. Some of it might be grass, but I do see little like cotyledon leaves popping up again. They could be weeds, or maybe some of these seeds germinated for me. And then we have the verbena, which I could never get to grow in my house, and I don't really know if that's it or not. That's the only, I don't see any in any of the other cells. So we'll see if anything starts popping up that actually looks like some real flowers or if they're just weeds. And then yesterday when I was doing the hoop, I think I was just walking on them because I was absent-minded and forgot I'd put seedlings in. So let's go check out the snapdragons. It's so nice out, but I really do need to get inside and do those tulips. Could be planting yarrow in the field. Some of that had hardened off long enough. Here are the snapdragons. And you'll remember yesterday they were pretty crooked, which they had all gotten under the plastic. There was one, I think it looked sad yesterday. This is about where I had that temperature gauge. But if you look down the line, I think they're looking good, other than they were crooked because I pulled them all out of the, like they look droopy, but that's just because they started growing that way. They look really green and they don't look like the cold hurt them at all under their little frost cloth blanket. So that's exciting because now there's no more freezing temperatures in the forecast, at least for the next 7 or 8 days. I know we can always get it, but I'll have that frost cloth, and if I know it's coming, I can run out here and put that down in a matter of minutes. So I'll leave that up until I'm positive that there's not going to be any more bad weather. I'll replace it with the netting and hopefully everything will be good. Oh, I did have that yarrow that I didn't cover. Let's go look at it. The peonies are really popping up down this row. I think you can see them. They grow in Iowa all the time, so I wasn't worried about covering them at all. My rows are full of peonies. Now let's go look at these baby yarrow. These also grow in Iowa. If you look down there, that patch of green, this is just yarrow that came back from last year. And look how good it's doing. That's why I wasn't that scared about putting these little plants out, because it's a pretty cold tolerant plant. And as you can see, it has like no damage. It looks pretty good. Some of them are a little weepy looking on the other varieties maybe, but it's still looking good too. Which that's awesome, because now if they're hardened off and they can take the sunlight, I feel completely confident putting these babies out. I mean, it got into the 20s last night and they're fine. They're fine. So that's great to know, because that means now when I start my yarrow, so I have a bunch, well, and it's perennial, so if I get a whole row going, I might not have to ever start it again. But in the future, if I do need to start yarrow, I can start all my seedlings a little bit earlier than they say to, and then put them out in April, and then I'll have all of that free grow room space for other things. So really good to know, really excited about it. We'll keep watching these plants and see how they do over the summer, but that's looking really promising. Yarrow can take some cold temps, which I had a feeling, because it was growing. It started coming back like in the beginning of April into March, when it's freezing here still. There was it was some of the first green popping out of the ground. So good to know. I'm gonna fill this whole row hopefully with yarrow. It just looks like I planted motherwort, but I did not. It just comes up like that. Okay, I'm gonna show you one of my favorite things on this farm. This farm is covered in redbud trees, and I Love them this time of year. This is the oldest one, and it's sadly kind of weakening out. It usually buds after all the others. I don't see it budding yet. It's so old. And there was another old one, if you look back here. That was another old one, and we lost a huge trunk out of it last year. But there's so many of them growing. There's even one down in that ditch. There's a little baby one. And then this one was all tied up in the fence. And I cut the fence out from around it, and it seems like it's liking its life. They're so pretty this time of year. And I think I love them because the rest of the summer is so pretty with so many things. But the redbud trees are just, they're so gorgeous this time of year when things are just starting to come alive and nothing else is really putting on a show. They like really put on a show. So it looks like they're going to be budding out here soon. And another thing about them is we have a big beehive at the farm, and the bees cover them. And I think it's because it's one of the first things that the bees can get to. That and the marrow honeysuckle. So like when I look around, you know, there's not a lot for the bees this time of year. And then as soon as those red buds go, you can just hear the trees buzzing with all of the little honeybees. So I'll try to capture it. It's pretty neat. Okay, so I'm just gonna use a piece of this craft paper, I think. To make some tags. Okay, and now I'm gonna make 1 liter of Life water, flower food. I do have all the hydration treatments and stuff like that, but we're gonna just start this one with 1 tablespoon of Life for 1 liter of water. And let's see, we only have 4 stems. So I think I'll just use one of these vases. So I've got my Life water, which I probably don't need that much water. Not that much. Let's put a little bit in there and check them in a little bit. And then I'll just turn you around here. You'll remember all of the test subjects are on the top row. So the back 3. This was an extra bucket I threw in there. So right here we've got the dry tulips that were cut. I should probably clean them off. I haven't done that yet. These are some of the first ones that were really short. Ooh, that one looks wilty. Wilty. But, let's see. Let's cut it off, stick it in the water. And see. The leaves are not touching the water. But I could just pull those off probably. This is a really wilty looking sad flower. Look how sad it looks. Alright, those were the ones that were just wrapped in newspaper and dry. This was no bulb dry standing up. Then I did one laying down. Now we've got bulb on in water. So bulb on in water. And move it over here. Oh, these don't look nearly as droopy as those other ones did. They look a lot better. A lot better. So I'm going to cut off the bulb. I'm going to tear off the bottom leaf. Actually, I'll tear off the bottom 2. Leave 1 leaf on every one. So this is bulb on in water. I forgot about the leaves though. All right. Bulb on in water. Definitely looks they definitely look a lot better than the ones that had the bulb cut off. A lot better. Like these look really alive. And I'm actually maybe gonna use these to make some bouquets, so I'll just keep them out now. I have plenty of this style because I thought this style was gonna do the best, but okay, and that was wrapped in newspaper. Wrapped in newspaper. Wrapped. I'm gonna put wrapped on the back. Because these are just standing up, not in newspaper, just in a bucket of water. They look great. There are no wilty ones. They're all strong and sturdy and happy looking. I'm gonna guess this is the smallest one right here. So these weren't wrapped in newspaper. That's the only difference. And if I wouldn't have to wrap them in newspaper and I could stand them up in tall buckets, I would, because that is just more efficient. So that is another one. This one was bulb in water, unwrapped. Unwrapped. I'm gonna go ahead and stick it in the water so it's not out of the water for too long. And there we go. Alright. Bulb in water, unwrapped. It'll be neat to see how much these grow out of the vase too. So we'll keep it. Keep them on. Okay, now we have the, what are these? The no bulb in water and bulb out of water. Oh, these need to go back in. Those just look miserable. I don't care for the ones. I'm gonna go ahead and pull those out and hopefully they hydrate and I make bouquets with them. But I definitely don't like the looks of these or the feel of them. Maybe it'll be the longest lasting one. Oops. But for right now, I'm gonna see if I can't salvage these three because I'm not fond of that and I need to make some little bouquets today. So these are kind of the smaller ones too. They might perk up. But dry storage out of water wrapped in newspaper where you don't put it in any is gonna give you a tulip that looks like this right out of the fridge. Maybe it does look better. Maybe it'll look better in a little bit. I sure hope so. Even though that is kind of a cute look when you make an arrangement and then it can like stand up later. Okay, and now we have, gosh, I don't want to like take this off, but we have the bulb laying down in the fridge, bulb on, but dry storage wrapped in newspaper. So let's see. Yeah, those still look pretty. These are a lot better. And here is another dry one where it didn't have the bulb on, but it was dry. So I'm gonna stick it in the vase with the other ones. It's a little bit bigger little bit stronger. We'll see. They might do all right. Anyway, these were the dry, no, not in water or anything in the fridge. And they do look a lot better than when you cut the bulb off. I will say they're not as flimsy. They just look a lot better. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take this one. It's a little curved, but it's still good. And cut off the bulb. I'll wash that stem off because it's a little dirtier than the rest of the order. Stick it in the water. And I did leave one leaf on every tulip. So that is the bulb out of water. And that one was one, I'm gonna put the one, because this one was the one that was recommended to me. And so I put it in one day after all the others. So this one was picked one day. So it should last 1 day longer than the rest. Yeah, no bulb dry standing up. Oh, this was the one that was no bulb dry laying down, I guess. We can do that. Okay. So we do have that. Let me cut it. So we do have that one. Because it was in here, if you remember, and then I threw it in there because I was confused. So no bulb dry, and this one was laying down. The other one was standing up. Although I'm not sure that would matter, but you never know. Okay? So these are the tulip tests. I might run these home with me. This farmhouse is staying around 50, so it's cool in here. And my house is around 70, which is probably what most people do. Okay, so here is our little test. And I'll leave this out so we know that we didn't test that one. This one is just not. I don't think the no bulb thing, they didn't do as well in my cooler. I don't think it looks very good, like pulling that one out of the cooler like that. All the rest of them have pretty stiff stems still. These are the two that were not in water, and they're really weak looking, but you never know. Maybe they'll pop up and pop out of it. They're all in water. None of the stems are sitting on the end. I think it'll be a good test. And then I'll leave this to know we never tried one just in water cut. I don't know what happened to those, so we will see. If you don't have the bulb on, they're definitely like flimsier getting them out of the refrigeration. Like they feel really like wobbly and flimsy. And then the ones with the bulbs all feel really good. I will say, just for, I don't know, like a feeling or something, the way they feel and like maybe how much they wobble or how flimsy they are. I feel like the ones that were in the bucket with the bulb with a little bit of water on, like these roots do feel pretty dry now. I do feel like those tulips felt better and like looked better to me. It's probably hard to see that on a camera or describe it, but they're like, these feel like softer. They feel weaker. They don't feel as strong. So that's my opinion. So I think what I'm gonna do, even though the test isn't done, just based on my feeling, I'm actually gonna take these that are dry on the bulb and I'm gonna stick them in one of the buckets with a little bit of water. Well, my flowers are inside, trying to open up and see what they are. I got this hose reel. To try to make my life easier, because this always gets kinked on the way down there, and then it's just a long process to bring it up. Needs to go on. That one should go off. And then I need to put my adapters on it. So I'm going to take this down to my field. I should be able to connect it right into my field, and if it doesn't reach, I will just use a little 50-foot hose and leave it on my field. So it's gonna be a little bit short, but that's okay, because this part is the part that's the hardest. If I just need like a little 10-foot hose, I can hook it to my drip and just leave it on that black plastic. So not a big deal. And then that one up there will probably need a little bit more, but again, not a big deal. I have hose here, so I could just leave this down there right on the black plastic and just bring it out to it. And then hopefully this reels up nicer than what I had in the past. I'm gonna see how far this hose goes. I know it goes out to my field. I've got all my stuff ready out there. I just need to tighten it with wrenches. I'm gonna see if I needed it. I think if I needed it at the garage, it'll go up to the garage, and it still has plenty of hose in there, so it will go inside if it needed to. And now I just want to see how far it goes this way. I needed it up here for any reason. So it almost makes it there too, and I know you lose pressure the more hose you have, but if I had just a little hose in it, I could just do a quick connect right to it and I'd have water in there, so that's kind of nice too. So we'll see how this works this summer. I did not like the setup last summer. It was just like dragging that hose, which this one you still kind of have to drag, but it's nice that it's winding it up, because I would have to try to unkink it and wind it the whole time, and it was not efficient. So I'm hoping this is a little more efficient. We will see. I had a couple options. I could either add just a 10-foot section to that and then connect it in, but I just took the hoses I already had, so I didn't have to go buy others, and I put them down there, and I figured I could just pull them out 10 feet, and then, that's like 3 twists, so that's not that big a deal, I don't think. We'll see how it goes this summer. And I still do have all of these outlets that I can hook onto and get water, so if I turn those on, I can still get water right at the faucet. And then I also have this little thing, so theoretically I could hook it to this. I do have this so that it doesn't turn on, because I like to drag it down there without water spraying everywhere. There we go. Nice. So now I have that. Of course, I can turn off the water so it doesn't spray me in the face when I undo it. I have a full hose. and then I can hook this up to all of my drip down there. So I think it's gonna work out pretty good. And I can weed eat under it without weed eating my hose. It's a win-win, I hope. Okay. So the temperature in the old farmhouse is only 52 degrees. And the tulips did not open up today. They look gorgeous. But they're kind of just living their best life, I think, being cool and not opening all the way. I'll flip you around and show you. Aren't they gorgeous? So here's our testing tulips. And they all have stiffened up a little bit. So that real floppy one from being dry is not floppy anymore. So that's good. We'll see which ones open first, which ones last the longest in the vase. And then all of these tulips are kind of tests. And I think if I just took them and put them in 70 degrees, they'd open up fairly quickly, but they're so pretty. I almost want to give them to people like looking like this, and then they can like experience the joy of them opening up. I don't know. I think that would be fun, especially people with kids. And they can like measure and they could watch the tulips grow in the vase because they do that. I think that would be really fun, but I know florists always give people the flowers like all blown open because of course when you receive them, like first impressions are everything. But sometimes you can have a bad first impression and change your mind when they blow open. And they're so pretty even when they're not open. So I don't know. I have to make up my mind. I'm sure I could get them to open if I wanted to. I know hot water does wonders. Anyway, that was my day today on the flower farm. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you have a great day.